Hello and welcome to a solution to another coding exercise. This one actually ended up being shorter than I thought it would. I thought it would be a little longer. So, shouldn't take too long. Let's do it. So first, we know we're getting input. We need to have the user input the number of elements they want, or the side length of their array. So we're going to need a scanner. So import that using java.util.scanner. Okay, and then we might as well create one off the bat too. So go ahead and create your scanner. Hopefully you guys are experts with this now, creating scanners and objects and such. So just do your thing. I'm sure you know what you're doing. Okay, there we go. So we need to create a square 2D array of type int based on a final int variable that the user enters their array size in. So let's create this final int called array size, and this is going to be the side length, and we'll set this equal to in.next int, and then we might as well prompt the user so they know what they're doing. So just go system.out.print, and we'll say enter the array size. And so where we're at now, we have our scanner, and it's going to prompt the user to enter how many elements they want per dimension of the 2D array that we're going to create, and then it's stored in the final int variable. So now that this array size has been defined, it can't be defined again. So we're utilizing our new strategies with final variables. Okay, and now we need to set each element of the array to be a random number 0 to 9. So we're going to need to loop through this, actually we should probably create the array first. So let's go int. You need the brackets like you always have for arrays, and then you need the second set of brackets for the 2D array. We'll just name it numbers and set it equal to new int, and then you type array size in the bracket, and remember it's 2 brackets, you need 2 brackets, and this is just a square array, so the array size is going to be the same for both brackets. Okay, looking good. Now also thinking ahead, we're going to have an average of all of the elements. So what we need to do is we need to sum all of the elements up we need to sum all of the elements up at some point. So we might as well create this variable now. So we're going to have float sum and just set it equal to 0. We're going to use float to be more precise so we don't just get an integer value, because there will be a lot of values and we're bound to not get an integer value. So float sum. Okay, looking good. So now let's actually loop through this baby and create some values, some random values, 0 to 9. So remember how to create a for loop, and we can use this array size variable in our for loop to test when I has extended past the bounds of the array, and just increment this variable. And now since it's a 2D array, we need to use our nested for loop that we learned about recently. So I'm just going to create another one called J, like IJK notation, I guess. Why not? And there we go, just like the other one. Nothing tricky at all, just very basic nested for loops. And now we can actually create the integers, or generate the random numbers that we're going to assign to this 2D array. So call access to an element of the array, so just go ij in there, because that'll end up looping through all of the elements like we learned in the nested for loops. And we're going to set this equal to our math class and its random method. And remember, this returns a float from 0 to 1. So what we need to do is we need to multiply this by 10 to extend this range from 0 to 9, because it never actually returns 1. So put this in parentheses, and this is returning a float right now. We only want integers, so type int right here. And so this is going to return a value from 0 to 9 for us. So now we are generating our values here, so that we can check that off our goals list, where we set each element of the array to be a random number 0 to 9. And now we need to actually print out the array. So you could just print it out after you create it, but it would just be a lot easier for us if we just printed out all of the elements now instead of trying to run through the for loop again. So just go system.out.print and print out this new numbers I and then numbers j. Just print out this new number that we generated right away, and we're also going to add this to our sum variable. sum plus equal to numbers I, j. Because remember, to find the average of anything, you add up all of the elements and then divide it by the number of elements. So we're going to add up all of the elements as we create them, and then we're going to divide it by the total number of elements in just a sec. So we have all of the, really, we've checked off most of our goals. We're really making good pace. And now remember, if we just leave this the way it is, we'll be able to generate all of the values, but they'll all be in a straight line because we're never creating a new line. So in between j values, type this system.out.println, and this will create a new line every time you cycle through a whole set of I values, because then that's going to separate the array in the right way that we want it to be separated. Looking good. We're almost done. So now that we've added up all of the elements, we want to divide it by the number of elements. So type your sum and do that handy divided equals. So we're going to divide the value of sum by, and then go array size, really array size squared, but we can just go array size times array size, and this is going to give us the number of elements in our array. So all we're doing is dividing the sum by the number of elements. And one quick thing, we need to make sure that we actually get a float value, because we're dividing it by just an int value. Don't want to mess anything up, so just type float just to avoid any sort of weird compatibility issues. It's also just good practice, so just type that in there just in case. And now we'll print out this average value, and we'll just say, oops, something like the average value is, and then type %f. And then all we're going to do is type our sum variable. And last but not least, we still have that warning up for Scanner, so close your input stream. I remembered. Of course I remembered. I would never forget to do that, huh? Okay, looking good. Let's run this bad boy, shall we? Okay, enter the array size. So we can mess around with this a little bit. Let's try something really big first. We see if we type 20, we get a massive array of random numbers. We get a ton. I think this is really cool, actually. So this is 400 values right here. Look how awesome computers are. This kind of demonstrates the ability. And you see the average value is 4.725. And what this is telling us is, if you think about the average value we're getting, it's from 0 to 9. The average of the numbers of 0 to 9 would be around 4.5, something around there. I don't know if it's thrown off by the numbers in between there, but I think it's 4.5. So the larger the array we create, the more accurate it's going to be. If we were to do something like 3, we see that we get like 5 instead of 4.5, or if we did 2, we get like 6.75, so it's pretty off. But if we did like 30, we get 4.51111, so it's getting really close to our value. 35, I don't want to like break my computer, but 4.61, okay, yeah, so there's a little bit of error there, but our program works the way we designed it to, so there's that. That's awesome, guys. I hope you were able to find the solution yourself. If not, I hope my explanation helped. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Feel free to drop a like, favorite, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.